Hi everybody, Clayton here at etrailer.com. Here at etrailer.com, we install, test, and review a lot of different products to help you as the customer make a more educated decision before your purchase. Today I have a 2018 Chevy Silverado 1500 we're going to be taking a look at, and I'll show you how to install the Blue Ox base plate kit with removable arms. Our base plate is going to be one of the key components in our flat towing setup. We have, of course, our base plate, our tow bar, our safety cables, our supplemental braking system, our diode wiring, and our battery disconnect. Our base plate is going to be that key attachment point between our truck and our tow bar. Our base plate is going to replace our tow hooks and bolts right up to the frame, so it's going to be really strong for a long time. It's also made out of steel and has a nice black powder coat finish to help resist rust and corrosion as well. This is what our base plate kit is going to look like with all of our flat towing components set up. I'll show you how to disconnect them now. To start, we'll take off our safety cables. We can pull out our diode wiring. Our breakaway switch and air line. Then we will take our retainer pin out and lower down our arm. Then on the other side, we'll be removing our safety chain, our retaining pin, and our pin. We can lower our arms out of, or our tow bar out of place. Then to remove our arms is super simple. We're just going to pull out on this loop, turn it, and slide it out. And this is all we're going to see whenever we're not flat towing. So it's pretty discreet. It looks nice on the front of our truck. It definitely doesn't stick out. This is what our base plate kit is going to look like every day when we're not flat towing. Since it replaces our tow hooks, we really don't have to cut anything out of the fascia. It looks really nice on the front of our truck and definitely doesn't stick out like some of the other base plate kits on the market. This is going to be our tab for our safety chain, and that bolts right up to the outside of the frame rail as well, so it's going to be super strong. Our Blue Ox kit is going to work with Blue Ox tow bars. It also works with Roadmaster tow bars with an adapter. Installing our arms is super simple. We're just going to take our arm, push it in like this, and then turn it to the inside. You can hear that retaining pin lock in, so we know it's solid. We'll repeat that same process on the other side. With our arms in, we can reinstall all of our flat towing components in the reverse order we took them apart. Our kit is going to include all the hardware necessary to get the base plate installed. However, you do need to pick up some red Loctite. And in terms of installation, getting it installed on our truck really isn't too bad. When you have to drill a couple holes, you're not going to need any major tools, and there's no welding required. And speaking of installation, I'll show you how to get it installed now. To start our installation, we're going to be removing 12 push pin fasteners that hold down this plastic piece on the top of our grill. We're going to use a flat blade screwdriver, but you can also use a trim panel tool. Just going to go underneath and kind of turn that up to help pry that push pin. Then we are going to use that trim panel tool just to get underneath that plastic tab and pull up. With all of our push pins removed, we just want to lift up on our plastic piece like this. We'll set this off to the side. There's going to be 4 10mm bolts on the top of our grill. You can go ahead and take those out. We're now going to be removing 3 T15 Torx bits in our wheel well right here that hold our fender liner to our fender and our bumper. We now need to remove 8 push pin fasteners on the back side of our grill. We're going to have an alignment tab on the corners of our grill. We want to pull up on this panel and kind of out. And then we're going to reach down here and pull up and out as well. That's just going to keep the grill from sliding back into that alignment tab. You want to do this on both sides. This is going to be pretty hard because you're going to pull on one side and it's going to suck that other side back in. So if you have an extra set of hands, just have them hold that side out. And we want to just pull out on the middle here and kind of work the grill off from each side. We can set this off to the side for reinstallation later. On our bumper support beam, there's going to be a 15mm socket on the end. We're going to remove those on both sides. Now's a good time to disconnect our fog lights if your truck has them. All you want to do, there's going to be a little red tab here. We're going to pull straight back, like so. And then push down on this tab, and then wiggle our harness apart. Just like so. And we'll slide our harness back into this plastic tab. We're going to have a plastic clip holding our harness to our bumper. We just want to grab our trim panel tool and pry out on that clip. That way this is free, and when we lift our fascia off, we won't have to worry about it. We're now ready to remove the hardware supporting our bumper. There's going to be two 18mm bolts located on each side, one right here, and one right down there. With this bolt out, I'm actually going to put a couple threads back in. That way, once we get the hardware out on both sides, we don't have to worry about the bumper falling off. We'll leave it just like that and take out our two bottom bolts back here and do the same thing that we're doing with this bolt on the other side. Before we take our bumper off, I'm going to grab some blue painter's tape and just run it along this body line here. We don't want to scratch our paint whenever we're taking our bumper off. We'll make sure to do this to both sides. I'm going to grab an extra set of hands to help lift the bumper off. We're going to take these last two bolts that we left loose, and we're going to lift up on our bumper and slide it out of place. Now I'll set this off to the side in a safe location. Now we just want to take our tow hook covers off and make sure to do this on both sides. There's going to be three 15mm bolts located on each cover plate. We're going to take those off. Now we just want to lift our cover plate off, and we'll set this off to the side. Make sure to repeat this process on the other side. We're now ready to take the hardware out of our tow hook. For this front one, we're going to have an 18mm wrench on this side and an 18mm socket on the other side. We'll go ahead and take that off. Now pull this bolt out. You'll want to repeat the same process on the other side. We're now ready to remove this 18mm bolt as well. This one we're only going to need a socket. You now pull out our tow hook. We'll set this off to the side. This will not be reinstalled. We're now ready to slide our base plate in. You want to make sure that this opening is facing up. Kind of slide it in like so. And then sometimes it'll be tight, so we'll have to grab a rubber mallet and just tap on the front to get that to line up. With the channel lined up with our outer hole, we're good and we're all aligned, so we'll repeat the same process on the other side. With our base plate in place, we need to grab our safety chain tabs. We're going to grab our long 1/2" bolt, slide it through that first hole, and slide it through the base plate in our frame rail. Just like so. We need to make sure to add red Loctite to any of our new hardware. This side is going to be getting a flat washer, a split lock washer, and a nylon lock nut. Now I'm going to have a hole right here in our base plate. We want to grab our small 1/2" bolt. We'll be adding a split lock washer, our 1/4" plate washer, and our slotted plate washer. We just want to get these started for now, and we want to make sure to add red Loctite. Just want to get a couple threads started. We'll tighten it down with a 19mm socket. We can now go ahead and repeat this process on the passenger side. We now want to come back with a 19mm socket, tighten down this front bolt, and then the bolt underneath. With our hardware tightened down, we're now going to use these holes as templates. I'm going to grab a 1/2" drill bit and get our hole started. I'm going to come back with a smaller bit and drill a pilot hole. With our pilot hole drilled out, I'm now going to come back with our 1/2-inch bit and open that hole up. We're now going to repeat that same process on the passenger side. We're now ready to install our hardware in our recently drilled holes. We grab our flat washer, slide it over our bolt, just slide that through the hole. We'll add our red Loctite, and then this side of our bolt, we'll get that split lock washer and our nylon lock nut. On the driver's side, we're going to be sliding our bolt through the outside like this, so outside to in. Tap that through with a hammer and add our hardware the same way we did on the passenger side. We're now going to come back with our 19mm socket and tighten down both sides. We're now ready to come back and torque everything down. All of our torque specs can be found in our instructions. We're now ready to come back and add our safety cables. Our quick link is going to go right through here. What I'm going to do is wrap this safety cable around the center cross member, and you want to make sure to stay away from this wiring. So we're going to slide this up through the back, like so. Pull it tight, and we're going to loop this back through and bring it out on the bottom. Just like so. We'll take our quick link, slide it through our opening, and add our safety cables. We now want to come back with a 19mm wrench and just tighten up our link. We're going to repeat the same process on the other side. We now need to trim these tabs out of our fascia. We're going to do this on both sides. I'm just going to use a utility knife to kind of cut along this line that won't bend it down and break it off. With everything torqued down and everything installed, you can now reinstall your fascia in the reverse order if you'd like, but I do suggest if you have other flat towing components to leave that bumper off. It's just going to make it a whole lot easier to work down here without having to reach around our bumper. When we went to reinstall our bumper, we're actually going to have to trim out a little bit more. I'm just going to take this line out to about here, then kind of follow that factory line down to this corner. We're going to want to do this on both sides. With our flat tow components installed, we can now reinstall our fascia in the reverse order we took it apart. With everything hooked up, we're ready to hit the road. That's going to conclude our look at the Blue Ox base plate kit with removable arms on our 2018 Chevy Silverado 1500.